Hi, welcome to the Achieve Wellness Daily podcast. My name is Chloe Burge, and I am honored to be your guide, life coach, and internet friend today. Here, we're going to talk about getting unstuck, living our best life as our most authentic self, and using goals and creativity to live a fulfilling life with purpose. If you struggle with survival mode or burnout, if you're trying to figure out what your best and most authentic life looks like, or if you're trying to live with more purpose, you're not alone and you're in the right place. Welcome to Achieve Wellness Daily. If you're ready to get unstuck, let's go ahead and dive in. Today's episode is all about getting unstuck, and in particular, I'm going to be sharing my 6-step formula to getting unstuck. I want to share a little bit with you about not only this formula, what it is, and a brief overview, but I also want to share with you how I came up with this formula, why it might be helpful to you, and why you might take my advice or not. So I'm going to try to set all that up for you today. Welcome to my very first podcast episode. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so excited to be here. So many of you have been waiting for this for such a long time, and I just want to thank you for your patience with me and for your kindness as I've been trying to make this happen for a couple of years now. So let's go. Your girl has been stuck. Okay, and I've been in and out of survival mode, and I'm really excited to share with you some of the things that I've done that have worked that might also work for you too. So I think that we'll kind of back it up a little bit and start with talking about survival mode and burnout. What does that really mean? Why would the Unstuck formula potentially be helpful for me? Why would this potentially pertain to me? Okay, so let's kind of start there. So survival mode and burnout. Obviously, these are states that have many names. These are some of the most popular names for these states right now, but it's kind of when you're in a state of feeling stuck. Honestly, that's overall what it is. Burnout is you've pushed your body too far and now you've got to catch up and rest, and it takes you a while to catch back up. Survival mode is parts of your body literally shut down and go into survival mode because your nervous system is no longer able to keep up with the demand of what you're forcing upon it. So burnout can be more like physical depletion, while survival mode can be more like mental depletion. Although, depending on who you're talking to, those can definitely be interchanged. So I didn't come up with a definition for survival mode or burnout right now, because realistically my belief is that no matter what you want to call it, it's feeling stuck. It is when you've pushed yourself too far in the wrong direction, which wrong, very subjective, right? But you've pushed yourself too far in a direction that wasn't positive for you, and now you're having to play catch up. But while you're playing catch up, you're also feeling stuck because we live in the present moment. And when you are catching up from the past, you're going to struggle, whether it's catching up physically or catching up mentally. There's so many different things. And so what we're going to talk about is just that feeling of stuckness. When you feel like no matter what you're doing, you're not able to move forward, or things aren't changing, or survival mode is often explained as feeling like you're living the same day after day, just on repeat. You get up, you eat, you go to work, you come home, you play on your phone, you watch Netflix, you take a shower, you go to bed, and you rinse and repeat the next day. And even if, there are different states, right? Sometimes that's actually literally what's happening, and your body is actively trying to shut down. And there are other times where it feels that way, even though you've still got other stuff going on, but you're not really present enough in this moment to really see and appreciate everything that you have going on. And it doesn't really matter. Honestly, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad for not being appreciative enough, but it doesn't really matter how quote unquote real or perceived the stuckness is. If that's what you're feeling, that's your real experience. That is your reality. That is your actual emotional experience that you're having. And so, first of all, I feel you and I'm sorry. I wanted to take this time to transition a little bit into talking about me and why you might want to listen to my view of this. but I have been stuck many, many times in my life. And a big part of why is because I'm neurodivergent, and I did not know until I was over the age of 19, and I did not get my diagnoses until I was 27 years old. I turned 28 next week. So, to give you an idea of how long we've had these diagnoses, we almost have had one of them for a year. Almost, okay? And it's really tough when you're neurodivergent and you've been given the wrong diagnoses or incomplete diagnoses. And it's really easy to feel stuck and also feel like you're doing something wrong. Like, this works for other people, but it's not working for me. And why? And I'm talking pretty much everything. I got to a point where I was over pushing myself, okay? I am a big believer in excellence. I like to do everything that I do with excellence, and to the degree where I will inhibit myself, right? Like, I will not do things if I feel like I can't do it well enough the first time in particular. That's kind of one of my big mindset blocks, is if I can't do it really well or perfectly the first time, I'm going to hold off. And that's not accurate, right? That's just my go-to. That's one of the big things that I'm working on. So if you're a perfectionist and you deal with perfectionism, you're probably in the right place. If you're a procrastinator and you deal with procrastination, probably in the right place. If you struggle with feeling stuck often, probably in the right place. I went to university after high school, and I was a major overachiever in high school, okay? And I took that energy with me into college. And I almost died at that university, okay? I literally worked myself so hard that I almost died. And I found out many years later, like 7 years later now, after spending the last 7 years trying to figure out why did that happen and how can I prevent anything from happening like that ever again, you know? It's not a good feeling when you finally get to go live on your own and you're so capable and you know you're so capable, yet you're not able to do the things that you need to do. And you get sick and almost die. You know, nobody wants that. Not fun times. So, not fun to admit either, right? We came to a point where I was like, wow, this really isn't working for me. I was stuck in dead-end relationships with people who didn't even really want to be my friend, or this guy didn't want to be my boyfriend, and he was taking up all of my time, and acting like my boyfriend, but then being mean to me. And I was allowing it because I was lonely. I was over-enrolled in my classes. I had 4 leadership positions as a student leader, 3 of which were semi-paid, with scholarship or with actual money. That was a lot. It was way more than any full-time student ever should have been taking on. And I was kicking ass. I was doing a great job, okay? I really was. But I very quickly got to a point where my body started completely shutting down, and I did not know what was happening, and I just tried to push through it until I literally could not anymore, and I became so physically ill that I actually had to quit taking classes, and at that point my best friend let me move in with her, and I tried to get back on my feet, and I wasn't able to, and so that's when my best friend moved out of the state. I moved back home. I didn't move back home initially because I didn't think it was an option. Turns out it always was. Shout out to my amazing parents for taking excellent care of me. So I live with my parents now. I'm still dealing with health issues. I've spent the last 7 years on a major physical health journey, and that's been a huge part of why I'm stuck. Okay, so just throwing that out there right now, if you have actual health issues, whether it's mental health or physical health, I have PCOS, I have endometriosis, I have IBS, I have daily chronic migraine, I have back issues, I have a spine problem, I have a couple of things going on, okay? And no, I wasn't born with all of this either. I was born quite happy and healthy, and with very minimal issues, just a few little things. and developed things over time. And I'm having to come to the conclusion that many of these things that I developed over time, stress-induced, stress-related, not knowing how to deal with stress, which I now know is related to not knowing how my brain worked and spending 27 years trying to figure that out pretty diligently, not gonna lie. So, anyway, that's just like a little bit about me. I live at home now. I just had a major surgery last year, at the end of last July, and it was completely life-changing, but I've had some issues that have still persisted or that have sort of started back up, or just other issues that were related to the surgery, and I'm really just now starting to feel better from my hysterectomy. I had to have a hysterectomy because I have endometriosis and really bad PCOS, but it wasn't for the PCOS, it was for the endometriosis. And I am just now getting to a point where I'm starting to feel like I'm getting unstuck. And even with that, oh my goodness, I am going through a personal current recycle of this formula right now. So anyway, we'll get back to present day in a minute. But over the last 6 years, 7 years really now, I've been trying to figure out how to do better. And in 2021, I learned all about life coaching. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. Like, this is it. This is the industry that I've been looking for my entire life. And I've been on this journey, this Achieve Wellness Daily journey since 2021, trying to get myself in a better place and then trying to figure out how I can help other people get to a better place. And by about the end of 2023, I think it was like August 2023, I came up with this Get Unstuck formula. I spent 2.5 years looking over my life and my patterns and trying to figure out what did I do that actually worked. And Brendon Burchard was a huge, huge influence for me every step of the way. He still is. He's my favorite influencer by far. I love his book, High Performance Habits. It's part of my 6-step process. It's the last step. It's like getting into that high performance, living with excellence stuff. So if you love that, go check out Brendon Burchard, like right after this podcast episode. But, yeah, so I looked over my own life, what worked, what didn't, and then I created my own framework from that. And Brendon Burchard talks about making your own framework. And I have so many of his frameworks and Tony Robbins' frameworks and Dean Graciosi's frameworks written down in plain sight on my wall and my battle board. It's not a complete battle board for you Brendon Burchard fans, but it is the start of one, okay? And I've been working on it for a while. I'm excited to revamp it, but yeah, so I've got all kinds of frameworks from other people, and Brendan's like, make your own framework. And I was like, oh, that really stuck with me. What do I do? And I was like, oh my God, I help people get unstuck, and I help them move on through this transitionary process into the next part of their life so they can live with excellence. That's what I want to do. I really want to use my experiences and what I know and what I've learned and my connection to elevate you and your life faster, because this was 7 painstaking years of my life just to figure this out, you know. And if you really want to backtrack, it really wasn't 7, you know. In 2023, I was like 25, so it took like 25 years for me to figure all of this out. In addition to being neurodivergent, I don't know if you're interested in what I have going on, but I will go ahead and share that with you at this time in case it helps anyone specifically. But I've been diagnosed with autism and PTSD. I had previously been diagnosed with depression and anxiety, but it turns out that's more of a misdiagnosed autism thing. Plus, we got PTSD going here. So, learning those things about myself has been really helpful. And I will be honest, I have not intentionally synthesized that information into this 6-step process, but it's literally me. This is literally what I've done with what I've known, with the way I've operated. And since, you know, so it's there. It's all there. And since then, I have tested this out with several people all around the world, primarily in the UK and the US. And I've run it by my friend in Australia as well, and it seems to be very helpful. I've worked with people with this formula in real time and watched people make real progress in a really short amount of time. So I can't promise you that you're like going to follow these 6 steps to the T and that you're never going to get stuck again, but I can promise you that this is going to help you get to a better place than where you were before, a more aligned place, a more authentic place, a place that's closer to your best self. And also, if you get stuck again, you can come back to this. Because here's the thing, friend, okay? This ain't going to be the last time in life that you're stuck. Sorry, that got loud. But this ain't going to be the last time in life that you're stuck, okay? Like, I felt so stuck last year after my surgery because physically I was not able to do much. And it took so long for me to heal from that pain and to get my energy back. And right around the time I got unstuck from that, one of my close friends from high school died. And that was really hard. And I was feeling very stuck in the middle of that grief. And then one of my closer friends from high school died 25 days later. And last December, y'all, December 2024 was a doozy for me. And I've been struggling with feeling stuck since then and working to get out of it and watching myself heal. And it's been really cool because now I have this formula and I've gotten to apply this formula. And I now see myself elevating faster. And so I actually am going to talk about this in a separate podcast episode, but right now I'm also going through a level of heartbreak. The guy that I like rejected me, and we're really close friends, and I really, really like him. And I have been given this information that he doesn't like me and that he's pretty sure he's not going to change his mind on that. And while I don't want that to be true and I don't want to accept it, it's what I've been told. I have to accept it as true. It's where I'm at. And so I am actively working to alchemize the shit out of that heartbreak because I don't want to sit there in it. Life is too short for me to sit in another heartbreak for 8+ months. Especially for someone that I didn't get to date, okay? I didn't even get to date this guy. I just really liked him. We're really close friends, so that's the part that's hard. Because we want to keep each other in our lives, but we've got to make adjustments. And I think that's totally understandable. But, oh my goodness, I have been feeling so stuck. And I have just was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to get stuck here. I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole and set myself up for seasonal depression. Because I get winter depression really bad already. And I was just talking about with a friend earlier. It feels like it happens earlier and earlier every year right now. Like the older we've gotten, the more depressed the winter is. And also it's like setting in earlier, which I'm friends with this friend group and we just lost our friend in December, right? And I'm reconnecting with many of them because I've been so sick that I missed out on many years after high school. Trying to heal and recuperate. And that's been heartbreaking, okay? So I'm going through quite a bit of unstuckness myself. There are continuous bigger versions of it, and then there are smaller versions of it. And my goal is to give you tools to help with both, okay? Like, not only have these 6 steps been the big overarching thing that's helped me and that's helped at least 4 other people to really, really, like, just push off and go forward, but also it's really, really helpful for those small moments of stuck. And you can kind of go through just in a couple weeks, how do I get through this? And it's how do I get through this, okay? It's not how do I bypass this? How do I avoid it? How do I pretend like it's not happening? It is literally how do I use this? And so I think I am going to do a separate episode on like alchemizing heartbreak, but also these 6 steps are going to help you do that. It's just I've had so many people come to me and needing this information in the lens of life and life goals and trying to figure out living with purpose. And then there's also like people who come to me who are like, I've just had this heartbreak, this major transition, whether it's a breakup or a death, and I need help not only grieving but also like getting through this. And so like one of the best things that you can really, really do for yourself is have a vision. Tony Robbins talks about your compelling future, and having that compelling future is essential. But when you are in the middle of survival mode or grief or just in the thick of it, you can't always start there. And that's disheartening. I know that's disheartening to hear. But as somebody who didn't know what they wanted for years and just got more and more of, okay, I've experienced this and this is not what I want. It was a huge mindset shift for me to start thinking, what do I actually want? And as someone with chronic illnesses, it's really been easy for me to write myself off as not going to get to have the things I want, not going to get to do the things I want, and might as well just give up. And I have in some seasons. There have been seasons where I sat down and watched Disney Plus for months and didn't do anything. And that was right before I learned about life coaching. And since then, I've really been trying to synthesize that into my mission, because it is my mission. This is part of what I'm supposed to be doing here, is figuring this information out, resynthesizing it, and then getting it to you in a way that you can understand. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the actual Unstuck formula. I hope that that was a good amount of background information for you to kind of know about me and why I might be helpful, but big part of my purpose and my journey is to help you go forward faster and not get stuck. And I think it's worth sharing also at this time, before we dive into the formula, that one of my biggest motivational points for this is to help prevent suicide. And I understand that that's pretty heavy and that that can sound really dark, but I think that a lot of people get really stuck and don't know what to do and feel like that stuckness is going to last forever. It is not going to last forever. If you can get through this period, you can get through anything. And you will. So, if you are struggling with your mental health, please go get help. I still go to therapy every week right now. Weekly therapy has been life-changing for me, and I highly recommend it. And if therapy is not available in your area, there's online therapy now. You can go to betterhelp.com, and you can pick out your therapist, shop for them online and everything. I'm not associated with them in any way or anything. I'm just recommending getting help for your mental health if you need it. It's something that I need, and it's been super life-changing for me. But the idea behind this is to help you get unstuck faster so that you do not get in a perpetually stuck feeling, because that is the worst and nothing will eat your hope up faster. So let's go ahead and dive into the hope. I almost said the meat of this conversation, which is hilarious because I have all kinds of life-threatening allergies and I'm vegan and gluten-free and I don't eat meat at all. But let's get into the tofu of this conversation, the protein. I have alpha-gal syndrome. I didn't mention that, but it's important. I have alpha-gal syndrome really, really bad, so I'm really sensitive. Mean old Lone Star tick bit me too many times. And now I've got this allergy to mammalian meat and mammals in general. I'm allergic to my dog and my cat and people and dust really bad. And like milk and butter and stuff. So if you have alpha-gal, reach out to me. I have an Instagram at Achieve Wellness Daily. If you love this podcast episode, please reach out to me and let me know what stuck with you, what you enjoyed so far, what you've related to, what's been helpful. Also, if you have alpha-gal syndrome, reach out to me. Or if you're vegan and you just want to chat, that's cool too. But okay. Or if you just want to chat and you're not vegan or alpha-gal syndrome group, it's fine. But yeah, I live in a area of the United States where alpha-gal runs pretty rampant around here, and they don't know anything about it. I was one of the first people that they diagnosed in April of 2024, and I've been dealing with this allergy for 11 years, and I've had my diagnosis for less than one, or just over one, like 1.5 years, so that's crazy. Anyway, I had already figured out by high school that I couldn't eat meat or milk anymore, so like 2014 to 2016, I went vegetarian and then transitioned into being vegan. And then when I got to 2024, I learned, I'm allergic to most medications. And that's why this medical journey has been literally the absolute worst for me. So talk about feeling stuck. Talk about getting some answers and getting unstuck. So, if you're suffering at all health-wise, go to the doctor. Go get your labs. Go get your yearly done. Go get checked out by whoever you need to. Go get tested for anything that you can think of. All of your basic tests for sure. If you don't know what to do, just try to go get all your basic tests and start there. Go get tested for allergies. My goodness, the allergies can really deplete your daily energy, but also like ruin your quality of life quite a bit. So in a way you might be unprepared for, okay? Getting back to the Unstuck formula, I hope that was a good enough introduction. I hope you feel like you know me a little bit better now, internet bestie. But we are now going to jump right into the Get Unstuck formula. So this is a 6-step process. And there's 6 steps to getting unstuck, and they're kind of like every 2 steps is also categorized into a big part. So there's like 3 parts to this process, 6 steps altogether. So I'm going to tell you about the 3 parts first so that you kind of understand what the 6 steps are going to get you to, okay? So part 1 is processing. And that covers steps 1 and 2. Part 2 is vision casting your compelling future. And that covers steps 3 and 4. And then part 3 is goal setting, planning, and achievement. And that covers steps 4 and 5. Okay? So the first phase is like processing. Second phase is vision casting your compelling future. And third phase is goal setting, planning, and achievement. If you remember, we did touch on a little bit how it can be really hard to start with vision casting. And most people who feel like that's too big a step, it's because you're not there yet. And that's fine. Like, I didn't know that I wasn't there until I knew that I wasn't there. And then I figured out, what did I have to do to get there? And so that's what we're going to talk about. Okay? So, part 1 is processing. That's like the first phase. And you've got to start there. Got to start with processing. Then you can start looking, what do I want? And then it's, let's make a plan to get that. Let's take action. Let's make it happen. Those are the 3 phases. Simple enough. So these are the 6 steps. Step 1, get present. Step 2, get stable. Habits and routines. Step 3, get growing. Reconnect to yourself. Step 4, get growing. Reconnect to your creativity and reconnect externally. Step 5, get a plan. Look forward and set goals. And then step 6 is get and maintain aliveness and joy in life, living with excellence as defined by you. So that's kind of the step where we take action and then also do upkeep to make sure that we stay at that higher level of self. So I'm going to just repeat those one more time. Get present, get stable, get growing, reconnect with yourself, get growing, reconnect with your creativity, get a plan, look forward, set goals. And then 5 is get and maintain aliveness and joy in life and living with excellence. So those are kind of the 6 steps. And what I want to do is just kind of do a quick overview of them. So if you're enjoying this content, stay tuned, because after I give you a quick overview of these in this episode, we are going to spend the next couple of episodes diving a little bit deeper into each step or each part, just depending on the length of each episode and how it goes and everything. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the 6 steps. So, part 1 is processing. Processing is absolutely essential. It is my belief that if you are not feeling present, if you are feeling stuck in any way, it's because you're not present. And if you're not present, you are more than likely behind on your mental processing. So, mental processing, this is something that I've been looking into a lot, okay? I've been really working on emotional regulation. I've been really working on mental processing. When I started this journey, like in 2020, I came across the term highly sensitive person, or HSP, and I really related to that. Turns out that the things I was relating to in that are autism. And I think I've noticed that the people that I started following then, when I check back in on them, like in the last year, a lot of them say HSPs and autistic people. Like, they've changed their branding because they've discovered that, they made this name for this trait that's this thing that basically already exists. So it was very helpful. The term highly sensitive person was really helpful for figuring out more about myself. I was told that about 1 in 5 people are HSPs. This is a trait that not only is found in humans, but also in animals, specific species of animals, penguins, dogs, stuff like that. And most people who are HSPs need extra mental processing time. And so processing can come in many different ways. There's verbal processing where you have to talk things out. There's like writing things down as a form of processing. There's movement as a form of processing. There are many different ways to process. But what mental processing is it's not taking in any new information whatsoever and just giving your brain a chance to work with the information it already has. So that means like not playing music in the background. Like if you absolutely must have music because you're ADHD or whatever, it needs to be music you already know, that you've heard many times, that your brain does not have to process in any way because it's familiar, okay? But you want like as little intake as possible for this. And mental processing can look like talking it out with a friend, speaking into a voice recorder, and just letting your thoughts flow. I love journaling. That's my favorite processing tool, is writing things down. Processing for me and writing, that's my best way. And so there's literally like, I have personal journals, and then I have like notebooks for every like big topic, like personal development and journaling, and one for my business and one for my health to take with me to doctor's appointments and stuff to keep track of things. There's one just for like daily to-do lists. There's one for general ideas. And this has been a really helpful way for me to process and still keep track of information to be able to actually like reference later. So processing, really important. You can also do like familiar activities and process as long as you're not talking and not taking anything in. Or if you're talking, you're like talking it out, even if it's just you. But like you can process while you're doing the dishes or like while you're gardening. Really like low level activities like folding laundry, that if you're not taking anything in, these are things that your brain already knows how to do, really familiar with, and it gives your brain a chance to kind of think and explore other things while you're doing this. And if you are not taking time out of your life to like stop and process things, this is going to build up over time and become a problem. Whether or not you have anything quote unquote big or traumatic happen to you, that will build up over time and create problems. And I don't care who you are. That seems to be true for everyone, neurodivergent or not, okay? That just seems to be a universal truth that, at least in the United States, we are ignoring, okay? I do not enjoy that. processing is so important. And if you have any kind of trauma happen in any capacity, a breakup, a loss, your parent dies, you move and you didn't want to, something ends, you know, you lose your job, anything like that happens that you weren't expecting, like that, you know, or even if you were expecting, that greatly affects you, you need to process that. Your body needs extra time to process that. And like, crying is actually a form of processing. Your body is physically processing when you're crying. So it's like important that you don't stop crying once your body starts. Like, let your body cry it out. Like, that is literally your body processing it and letting it out externally. And when your body is able to take those thoughts or those emotions, or those ideas or those situations or that trauma and get it out physically, it's no longer floating around in your brain or body. And I say brain or body because it's the thoughts in your brain and the trauma in your body. Our bodies hold trauma. If you are struggling, you know, look up a psoas muscle stretch. Like, there are easy exercises that you can do to help release trauma in the body. And that's a specific one that I know of that's really helpful. So, processing. I think that's a pretty good overview of processing for now. And that's going to be the first part. So the things that I think kind of lie within that processing area are the first two steps. Getting present again and getting stable again with a focus on your habits and routines. So when you're getting present, you are coming to terms with where you are now. You're going to use grounding tools and techniques in order to do that. And what you're doing is you're processing the past in order to catch up to the present. This could also be a version of like getting really in touch with what's actually going on with you. So like, took me a long while to realize how sick I was and to actually start taking action and like going to the doctor and trying to get it fixed, because I had been told so many times that it was all in my head, that it wasn't really happening. I'd just been treated with such disrespect by so many doctors that I just had to take a break. And I got to a point where I believed for a while that I was always just going to be in that much pain and that I was never, ever going to be able to heal. And that felt very true for a long time, put me in a very dark place. So if you can catch up to the now by processing the past, it's going to give you a better opportunity to actually figure out what's going on with you and tackle those issues. And the point of this step is not to tackle those issues in any capacity. All you're trying to do is come to terms with where you are now and accept where you are now. And in order to do that, most people have past processing that needs to be done. Most people have to catch up on their processing of the past before they can come to terms with where they're at in the current moment. Okay? So that's kind of the big goals of getting present again, is coming to terms with where you are now. And you don't have to like it. You don't have to appreciate it. You can actually almost actively hate where you are now and still be like, this is where I'm at now. I can accept this so that I can move forward. If you come to this accepting point of, I accept this is where I'm at, and you come to a real sense of reality of, this is where I am, this is what's going on, and now I have the opportunity to move forward, that's where you want to be by the end of this. And this step is hard. It's this part of the process is the hardest, those first two steps, because you have to figure out what grounding tools and techniques work for you. A lot of times you have to synthesize a lot of your past, and that can be very painful. If you're feeling stuck, it's probably because something painful happened and you didn't deal with it. And I'm not trying to be mean. That's our human nature. It is a coping mechanism, and it has worked for a long time, okay? But when we have these things that are stacking up, and there's more and more getting added to the list, then that's when it really starts to become a problem. Unless you're neurodivergent, you might run into problems sooner or differently, like I did. So, pardon me. But, just as a reminder too, that you can get unstuck in the middle of, or you can get stuck in the middle of a really good season. Everything can be quote unquote going well, or even quote unquote going right. And you can still not be in the right place at the right time for you and still get stuck. Okay, so this getting present, not always going to take a ton of time. Sometimes it's going to take so long that you can't finish it all before you start moving forward. Like sometimes you have to do getting present and the processing thing like for a while as you continue moving forward. And that can be kind of hard, but like if you can develop a regular practice of actively processing, you are going to be so much better off. Like if you can regularly journal or like regularly, like I have clients who don't like journaling. And so my suggestion to them is always to go to their voice notes in their phone to record themselves talking to themselves about their own stuff and then to go back and listen to it and pick out important things, work through different mindset blocks, stuff like that. It just gives you the opportunity to analyze your own thoughts. And that's what you want to do. You want to analyze your own thoughts. Because if you don't know how your thoughts are currently, you are not going to be able to improve that shit, okay? And one of the biggest parts of why this step 1, is so hard is because you are more than likely, if you do this step correctly, you're going to recognize a lot of shit in your life that you're not happy with. And you're going to be like, hey, I'm not happy with this. How did this happen? And so if we can just focus on this is where I'm at, I'm okay with where I'm at, and this is what I want to start changing, that's kind of where you want to be by the end of this step. Also, ideally, you're going to start living more in the now as you process. So you'll make some mental space, and that should give you a little bit of room to be more present in the current moment. So that's the goal. Step 2 is getting stable, and this is where we're going to focus on our habits and routines. So this is the area where we maximize where you are currently at. We create the groundwork for the life you actually want to live. And this is where we really go in and focus on the self in a very physical way, which can be very difficult for a lot of us. But your care, your personal care, how you're doing, is core to your mission and your service. With the example of the oxygen mask. So when you're on a plane, if the plane's going down, they tell you to put on your own oxygen mask before you put on somebody else's. You can't help other people if you are dying. Okay? And if you can, you're not going to do nearly as much good as you would have if you were in good shape too. If you had taken care of yourself first and then extended yourself out. And life is the same way. So in the second step, where we're talking about habits and routines, this is where we really want to focus on you and what your personal care habits are, really, more than anything. What are the routines that you're implementing every day? And obviously, we haven't done the vision casting yet. We don't know the exact, or you may or may not know the exact vision that you are heading towards. But we know from step 1 that you're not happy with where you're at. And with step 2, we can start addressing that. And it's going to be the small things like, we're going to start with these like major 4 categories. I got this from Brendan Burchard. Everything he does is incredibly research-based. And that's why I enjoy his information. But he tells us to take our meds every day. And that stands for something. M is meditation. E is exercise. D is diet. Like, not like going on a diet, but like what you eat. Like your nutritional intake. And S is sleep. Those are the 4 main things that I want you to focus on right now, okay? Meditation, taking time out of your day, every day, for a little bit of quiet. This is also, could be considered a form of processing. It's also can be a form of spiritual connection, depending on your belief system. But we talk a lot about spirituality here, so buckle in. But yeah, that's meditation is incredibly important. If you can only do 2 minutes a day, start with 2 minutes a day. 2 minutes of silence to yourself, no intake. I dare you. Okay? And if that's not working, look up a guided meditation on YouTube. You can look up a 3-minute meditation, but start at 2 to 5 minutes and go up from there. If you can do a 5-minute meditation and you've never meditated regularly before, that's freaking awesome. You don't know how incredible that is. Meditation is difficult. And there are different kinds of meditation, okay? So just go look into it. There's body meditations, there's guided meditations, there's astral projection type stuff, there's you can use frequencies in the background, and there's subliminals, there's affirmations, there's so much. So know with subliminals though, and with affirmations, that you are taking stuff in. So that's a little bit different, but it can be used very intentionally and very well. So M is for meditation. Take your meds. Meditation. E, exercise. You've got to get you're moving. You've got to get your body moving. It does not have to be going to the gym. It does not have to be running a marathon. It does not have to be anything like that, but you have to get up and move, okay? For me, it's walking. I adopted a dog so that I would walk, and also so I would have the enrichment in my life of a dog, but and have someone to love and take care of. That's really, really good for me, really positive. But I literally adopted a dog so that I would get out and walk every day, and I walk him twice a day, and I only get like 5,000 to 6,000 steps in a day, but that is so much better than what I was doing before, and I felt so much worse before I was walking. And getting up and walking every day like this, it is hard for me. It doesn't always feel good. I'm often more depleted when I get home from my walk than I am like energized or whatever, but it helps with my mental health to get outside, to get fresh air. It helps with my mental health to have the dog, but it also helps with my physical health to get out and get moving. And for me, I struggled with that level of consistency without an external force. So the dog really helps me. He acts as that external force to get me out there twice a day, every day, no matter what. And we love our time together, so that's really cool. But exercise, get out there and move. Even if you are overweight and you have struggled to move around, if you have stuff that causes immense pain, like I did, I had endometriosis, and I just sat for like 2 years because it's too painful to move, and it really was. But I also just had to bite the bullet and get over that and make myself move, and it changed the way my endometriosis lesions were all attached to me, and that hurt really bad too. But it helped. My life has transformed. I'm on my second dog. I adopt older dogs from the shelter who need good lives at the end of their time, and it wasn't intentional. It's just kind of what's happened twice in a row now. So this guy I don't think is as old as my last doggy, but you can see Buddy on my Instagram. I achieve wellness daily, and I don't know if Buster's on the actual page yet, but he is my little bestie. That and my cat Charlie, they also both of them keep me on my toes. But exercise, get moving, look up chair yoga, look up chair exercises on YouTube, look up a 5-minute workout on YouTube. I'm serious. Anything. I also like the Butt Bible on YouTube. It forces you to use your own body weight to like work out, and it tones your body. It makes you look like you're working really hard. And you are working really hard, but you're not like spending hours at the gym with weights or whatever. You're just it's like a 20-minute workout. And I do like the lower level one for body and then the upper level one for body. So anyway, exercise. Find some level of movement, even if it's literally just walking or just doing chair exercises. Move. Do not stay sedentary. Really easy to do when you're depressed or struggling or stuck. D is diet. The food you eat matters. The food you eat hella matters. And if nothing else, eat something fresh. I can't even go into this without really going into this, but I'm vegan and gluten-free because I have alpha-gal syndrome, got life-threatening allergies. I can go into an anaphylactic reaction at any time from milk or beef, or even just being in a restaurant where they're cooking those things, red meat of any kind. So it's been tough, but I've had to pay a lot of attention to my diet, and I will give you this. Inflammation diet is so good for you. Cinnamon, so good for you. If nothing else, eat something fresh every day, okay? Like, when you're feeling stuck, it's hard to cook. It's hard to be motivated to cook. Nothing tastes good half the time if you're sad or depressed or going through anything else with your stuckness, and it's so easy to eat out and eat. eat other than don't eat, okay? If it's between eating and not eating, go get the food from the fast food. Go get the McDonald's. I don't care. But, also when you can do better and eat something fresh every day, regardless if it's just a banana or just an orange or just a cutie, eat it, okay? Eat something fresh every day. Makes a huge difference in your life. Okay, and taking your meds. Sleep. You need 7 to 9 hours of sleep, period. Fix it, okay? Get a nap. I don't care. Get an eye mask. Get the shades that block out the sun, needs to be dark, it needs to be cold. There are rules, look them up. Brendan Burchard, meds, look that up if you just want him to tell you all the sciencey stuff behind it. So that's like the first 2 steps of processing. That's part 1 is processing, that's getting present and getting stable again. So the next part is vision casting your compelling future. Okay, this is where we start to actually take the groundwork that we started with, and we're moving forward now. Now, not only are we happy, or not necessarily happy, but we're at peace with where we're at now, whether we like it or not. And we're trying to maximize where we're at by developing and implementing new habits and new routines, starting with meds, meditation, exercise, diet, routine, sleep routines. Then we're going to build on that, okay? So step 3 is get growing, reconnect with yourself. This is essential. We're going to start understanding who you are now, who you want to become, figuring out who that person is and what they want and what they are and what they do, okay? We're going to start connecting actively with the best and highest version of you. And this is also where spiritual and possibly religious reconnection often comes into the picture, okay? Naturally, when you're on this journey, it is my belief that we are spirits in a body, okay? We are spirits having a human experience in a human body. That's my belief. Hope that helps. This is typically where you start reconnecting with that. As you're reconnecting with yourself, you almost cannot help but reconnect with your spirit because it is your essence. It's like reconnecting with your soul. And it's where you reconnect with the idea, like from Avatar: The Last Airbender, that everything is connected and everything is alive and connected. And you start coming back into that. You start connecting back to this planet, to your life on this planet, to the grid of the planet itself, to that spiritual energy. It's something that happened naturally for me. I'm not sure I could have tried harder and done a better job. Like, if I had tried, it wouldn't have gone any better, okay? This is just what happened as I went through this part of the process. And so for some of you, that might be a more intentional thing. That might not be part of it for you. You might not have religious beliefs. You may not have a spiritual life. You may not believe in that. And I want to honor that too, okay? Doesn't really matter that I don't agree. I want to honor that too. But there are other parts of this where you're reconnecting with yourself, that you are going to have these experiences where you're going to feel more connected and you're going to start experiencing life differently. So, particularly if you do it quote unquote right. So understanding yourself now and figuring out who you want to become. Those are the big things, okay? And then regularly connecting with that best and highest version of you. So you got to figure out, what do I actually want? And if you can't figure out what you want, like, figure out who you want to become. And figure out who that person is. What do they do? What does their life look like? Write it down. Write it out. Really flesh it out as much as possible. Dean Graziosi does a great exercise called Best Year of Your Life. And he tells you to imagine, like, take today's date and date your piece of paper for 1 year from that day. And then write down a letter to yourself that explains everything that's happened to you in the last year and why it was the absolute best year of your life. And if you allow yourself to get into that energy, you might be surprised how much comes up during that exercise. And if you need to do it a couple times, do that. But, it might be superficial things from, I want a new car and a new house, to, I want to be married to the love of my life, or things. And the point is not, I'm going to do this in 1 year. Watch me. Like, if that's you, fine. Go for it. I thought that was me. None of it's happened yet, okay? Like, one section of it is, like, happening, okay? But, like, I'm not saying that it's not, like, happening, but it's not, like, I wrote that letter to myself 1 year from now, and then I went back and read it, and it was all true. And that does happen for people. Good for them. I'm not there yet. Not that powerful of a manifester, apparently, but that's fine. We are learning. It's a process. So yeah, I kind of just got off track just a little bit, but you're going to want to make sure that you're focusing on who you want to be and the life you want to live. Whether it's this, physical stuff that you want in the 3D, or if it's 5D connections, or if you are wanting something that you feel like is out of your control, like a relationship. It doesn't matter what it is, and the why also doesn't matter in this instance. I really, really need you to just focus on, if it were the best year in your life, what would have happened if there was no cap whatsoever, okay? So do that exercise. It will reveal so much to you. And once you are kind of figuring that out, that's when we're going to start transitioning into step 4. If you'll notice, step 4 is also get growing again, okay? 3 is get growing again, and 4 is get growing again. 3 is reconnect, and 4 is reconnect. But we are reconnecting to different things, my love, okay? So, step 3, we're reconnecting to the self. Understanding who you are now, who you want to become, figuring out what they are and who they are, what they do, and connecting with that best and highest version of you. Starting to believe that you can become that person. And then in step 4, we're going to start reconnecting to our creativity. And this also sort of forces us to reconnect externally, okay? So this is when we want to start really tapping into creativity, fun, and play. Why is this so far in the process? Well, if you are truly stuck the way I have been truly stuck in the past, you ain't able to have fun. You don't want to paint, Music feels gray. There's different ways you can describe it, but you're like not ready to play when you're like processing that your best friend died or whatever, you're just not there. You're just not there. So as you come back into you and you're honoring yourself fully, you want to tap into that level of creativity. You want to tap into fun, and you want to tap into play. Start making lists of things that you love again. Start there. Go through the list of things that you used to love and see what you still love, and write down things that come to you as you go, and knock off things off the list that aren't fun anymore. Like, figure out what makes you happy. What brings joy. We want to start focusing on joy here, okay? You can start focusing on joy in the second step, starting to want to create habits and routines around creating joy. But for me, it didn't happen till later, okay? It took me much longer to tap into joy. And when we get to this creation place, this is when we want to start creating the life that you want. So this is when we start actually thinking about, step 3 is more like, who do you want to be? And step 4 is more like, what do you want to be doing as that amazing person, okay? And if you are creating that, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is ask yourself, why? Why do I want this? Why do I want to be this person? Why do I want to do these things? And come up with your deepest why, okay? I can't remember, I think it's called the 7 Levels Deep exercise, also Dean Graciosi. And he tells us to write down our thing of what we're asking why for. So I want to be married. Why? Write down why. Ask yourself why again. Write it down again. Ask yourself why again. Write it down again. Do that 7 times. And by the 5th to 7th time, you should be getting goosebumps, chills, crying, because you are coming into focus of your real and true why. And if that is not happening for you, and you are not having a moving emotional connection to your why in some capacity, then it is not going to move you, and it is not going to be strong enough to motivate you to do anything about it, okay? And that can be really hard. I've been wanting to do this podcast for 3 years really badly, and I've been saying every October, basically, which come on, October 25. But basically every October I've been like, I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to get this podcast started. And I just haven't. And my coach, Sam Watson from Australia, he's amazing. He looked at me just like a week and a half ago and he was like, Chloe. Actually, it was just a week ago. But he was like, you have to become the person who enjoys doing the podcast. And my mind just went, poof. Like, I had a total mind-blown moment because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not the person who enjoys sitting in my closet around all of my crap doing a podcast. Why am I sitting in my closet around all of my crap? Because my closet is a mess, and you're supposed to be in a small space with lots of, like, pillows and clothes and stuff for the best sound quality, and we are so there. So, there's literally... my closet is such a mess. There is literally enough room for me to sit in here with my notebook on a pillow. And that's it. I'm like looking at my shoe rack. It's a mess in here. But this is for you. This is my mission. I'm connecting with that version of myself that loves making podcasts for you, that loves reaching out to you and helping you as much as I can, that loves getting this information out there because God has given me this mission very specifically. And God has made it abundantly clear that I have not been fulfilling my mission. And that I have been feeling stuck and empty because I'm not doing what God's telling me to do. You might not believe in God. You may be more in tune with the universe. You may be more in tune with yourself. I don't know. But I'm very in tune with God. And God has made it abundantly clear. I'm not doing the shit I need to do right now. And I was like, how do I do this? So God sends me someone that I'll listen to, my dear Sam. And Sam says, you haven't become that person yet. And I'm like, oh shit. And it only took me 1 week to become that person that's ready to say, I'm going to do this no matter what because it needs to get out there. So here you go. But yeah, you got to tap into building the life you want and why. And the why is like, I want to be helpful. I want this information to be helpful. I want all of the absolute hell that I've been through in the last 10 years in particular to mean something. 15 years, really. My chronic illnesses started in middle school. It's been like 15 years, and I want it to mean something. I'm tired of suffering needlessly. And one of the only ways that I've been able to figure out how to synthesize and alchemize that back into the world as something positive is coaching and this podcast and trying to actually help people with this. So I hope this is encouraging you. I'm pretty fired up. I'm feeling it right now, which is a great feeling. I haven't felt this feeling in a while. But yeah, step 4, get growing, reconnect to yourself and to others. I didn't explicitly put this in my little note, but this is also where you want to start reconnecting externally. This is where you want to start making your friends again, whether you're reconnecting with old friends, just reconnecting with your regular friends that you just haven't been in touch with for a while, or actively going out and making new friends. My favorite thing to recommend at this point is to find a creative activity or any kind of activity outside of the house that makes you feel like you're making something or contributing to something. Even if it's a running group, it doesn't have to be a painting class or music or making something with your hands or whatever, a candle making class, I don't know. But it can be just any kind of activity that you do around other people or with other people, bonus points. But go be around other people who are doing something that you enjoy or that are working on their own thing, even like an accountability group or whatever. And go be around that inspired energy. This is also a great time to reconnect to people online. So really dive into your podcasts, your favorite creators, people that make you feel totally pumped. That's what you want to do here. Understanding creativity and birthing and manifesting is really important in this stage too. That is something that we all do. And creativity allows us to birth new things. And the birthing process is very, very real. Not just in making an actual child, okay? There's this process of deciding that you're going to do something and then it coming closer and closer and closer, and it growing and developing. And then as you get close to the end, there's pushes and pushes and pushes, and the last couple pushes try to make it happen and push it out into the world. And that can last a long time. Like sometimes it actually does last like 9 months. Sometimes it lasts 3 years. I've been trying to push this podcast out for 3 years. It's been in a horrible birthing process, but we are here, okay? We've manifested this together. Thank you for manifesting this episode. If you're here, I know you did. So, it's part of what we all do. So getting into creation, not only just like creating something physically, but also creating the life you want. Even if it's just creating the vision for it, the compelling future. Create the compelling future. Write it down. It doesn't matter how detailed or short or long it is. It just needs to be aligned with you, and you can change it at any time. But you do need a starting place or an updated starting place, just depending on where you're at in the process. If you're going through this process really quickly and you're just like trying to get unstuck from a smaller event, we'll say, like you can just like re-go over your compelling future. Does this still line up? And then like find a way to insert creativity into your life. So that's kind of part 2. Vision casting your compelling future. Wow, we are an hour in to this episode. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to get to this last part and then wrap it up. So, that's all about get growing and reconnecting both internally and externally, or to yourself and to creation. So, then we're kind of in phase 3, the last phase of the process. This is the goal setting, planning, and achievement phase. We're going to start with step 5. This is where we get a plan, and we look forward, and we set goals. So the first thing that you're really going to want to do is actually take that creative energy that you've been harnessing in the last step, and we're going to direct it, okay? We're going to actually direct that creative energy to achieving things you want to do. Like, we're going to take that compelling future, we're actually going to break it down into like plans, projects, and goals. We're going to plan things, we're going to schedule stuff, we're going to experiment. Failing, yay! You're going to fail a lot. You cannot stop just because you failed. When you fail, you've learned something. Take that experience, figure out what you need to learn from it, and then move forward. Do not stop. Failure is not a time to stop. Failure is a time to figure out what you need to learn and just reevaluate and just reconfigure just a little bit, okay? Like, think about an airplane, okay? If an airplane takes off from one destination, it's got to go on the exact route to get to the destination it's supposed to. If that plane takes off just slightly to the right and goes in a completely straight line, you're going to end up in a completely different part of the world than you would of the original trajectory. You're just tiny, just like an inch. If you have that plane an inch to the right and you have both planes taking off from the exact same point and going straight forward, you're going to end up in a completely different part of the world. Okay? So this is where you experiment and you change your trajectory a little bit at a time until you are pointed exactly where you want to go. And that can take a lot of editing, okay? And that's okay. But that's what we're doing here. We want to focus on goal setting, okay? This is where we really set the goals and start taking action. And when we look forward, we set those goals, we start taking action. Step 6, and at the end of this one is where we start focusing on like project completion and goal achievement, okay? I have a 5 steps to goal setting and achievement process that I don't think I have written down right here. So I might have to get back to you on that one. But it's like, a lot of it is done in the first 4 steps. So then you come to step 5 and you're just like taking your notes from the last several steps and applying it here. What do you want to do and what's the goal, and then how can we break it down, and how can we celebrate milestones, and what are you going to do when you achieve it? How are you going to celebrate that? Huge part of goal setting is celebrating. And goal setting's hard, okay? This is something that I've been personally working on for a really long time. This is where all of this started. I was like, I can help people set goals. And then I found out, like, wow, setting goals and achieving them is actually, like, a lot harder than we think, but also, like, super important, right? So it's a momentum thing, but it's also like a getting things done thing. So I make yearly goals. I like to make monthly goals. I like to make quarterly goals. And if I was on top of my shit, I'd be making weekly goals as well. But I'm not that on top of my shit. So I go with my yearly goals, and then I kind of go with my quarterly goals, and then that kind of like ties together into the yearly goals so that I try to get those goals done and all these things. So, you set goals on a yearly basis, and then you go down to what's your goal for the 3 months to try to support those yearly goals, and then what's my goal for this month to support the 3-month goal, and then what's my goal for this week to support that monthly goal. That's the idea, and you can be as detailed or into that as you want. I'm so good at getting stuck there. I am so good at detail planning all of that out and then just not making it forward past that, okay? So don't get stuck there. But this is a huge part of the process for me that I really enjoy and love. It's really easy for me to take people's, like, this is what I want to do, and then break it down into steps and goals and everything. But, like, keeping up with that is hard. And so I plan to get even more information and even more in depth on this stuff. Go check all of my notes that I've been doing so far and really try to synthesize this information into something super concretely helpful. But yeah, this is the part where you're trying to actually take what you want to do and figure out what the things are in that. Take the compelling future and break it down by, like, what are the actual things I want to complete and goals that I want to have and projects that I want to do. And then we'll actually break those down and plan them. We're going to schedule them because scheduling it makes it real. Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Brendon Burchard, everyone will tell you that. Planning it actually makes it real. If you schedule it, you got to schedule it. You got to put that deadline on your calendar. Brendon Burchard does Friday finishers. What are the 3 things I need to have done by the end of this week, by the end of Friday, no matter what? And he, that way if you're not done on Friday, you do it on Friday. You get it done. There are different ways that you can do that. I have seasons where the extra structure is really good for me, and I have other seasons where it just completely discourages me. So I have lots of opinions on this step, but ultimately, what it is ultimately is taking the vision that you've created in steps 3 and 4, and you are going to pick out what the projects are, pick out what the goals are, figure out which one you want to start on, and start planning things. And then you want to start directing that creative energy that you're already gathering and already bringing into you, and actually direct it to achieving these goals, to work towards that compelling future. You are already doing so much with your time. You are already doing so much in your day. How much of it is actually getting you where you want to go? How many of the things you are doing move the needle to the person you want to be, to the things you want to achieve, to the life you want to be living right now? Because if your answer isn't damn near everything that I'm doing is moving me towards that life, whew, it's time to start at step 1. But seriously, we have been so brainwashed into believing that there are all these obligations that we have to do, and really, there's only a few things you're here to do. And my hope for you is that through this process, you will figure out what those few things are and start moving towards them. I only have a few things that I'm meant to do here, but they're big. I'm not saying yours is going to be big. I don't know. I can't tell you that unless I'm talking to you. And that's another story. If you're interested in coaching, you can reach out at Achieve Wellness Daily on Instagram, and let me know that you're interested in coaching with me. But, like, I can't tell you what those missions are, but I can try to help you uncover them. And if you're not working towards those missions, you are not going to feel fulfilled, period. The things that make you feel fulfilled, those are part of your missions and why you're here. I don't care if it's sand art. you're supposed to move people with that, and you need to be doing more of. Oh, I have chills, I have goosebumps. If it doesn't matter what it is, I play the cello, and I have so many other gifts that I feel like I'm better at, that I feel like I could improve more than my cello, but that cello is part of what I'm supposed to be doing. Moving people through music is part of my mission, whether I like it or not. And you wouldn't think that's one that I wouldn't really agree with, but I get so nervous and so in my head and so concerned about what I'm going to play and where I'm going to play it and is it going to sound good, or am I going to have this bad experience for myself, when really it's people need to hear that. People need to be blessed by live music. It's healing no matter what I put into it because of the energy I put into it. And so there's different things like that. You might not be a healer. It might literally just be, I'm supposed to put this out into the world and I don't know why. Great. Let's do it. Let's get started. Okay? If you can't even find your pure why, but you just know what you know, girl, dude, love, babe, you gotta do it. Let's go. Okay. So I'm gonna try to wrap it up here. I know this is getting long. Step 6 is get and maintain aliveness and joy in life and living with excellence as defined by you. This is the hardest step, but by the time you've done all of the other steps, it's so much easier. This is where you're going to maximize your time and energy for a next level quality of life and a life of service. You have to figure out how you are meant to serve, what your mission is, because that is part of what brings fulfillment for most human beings. And by most, I mean all. But can I make that claim? I suppose not. But you need to figure out what's most important to you and figure out how to do it. And one of the best ways that you can do that is just maximizing your time and your energy, taking excellent care of yourself so that you are ready. Okay? That's a huge part of it. One of my favorite ways, actually, I'll share this first. One of the other things that you need to do in this step is define excellence. What does excellence and what does next level mean to you? And after we figure out exactly what that level of excellence looks like in conjunction with the things you want to do and your compelling future and who you want to be and the habits that you're working on and how present you are, we are actually going to actively pursue that version of you. Okay, what does excellence mean? What does next level mean? And then let's pursue that. And we've done that, but we're synthesizing it all together in one big, beautiful package right now in this 6th step. And so one of my favorite ways to do this is, first of all, you've got to figure out what excellence means for you. You need to figure out what aliveness and joy mean for you. But there's some work that's been done. Brendan Burchard has the 4 desires or drives of all human beings. And it's a triangle, okay? There are 3 things on the outside of the triangle and 1 thing on the inside of the triangle. So there are 3 main things that humans desire or that drive humans. One of them is meaningful pursuits. Meaningful pursuits is like your mission and shit, okay? Doing stuff that matters to you, okay? Doesn't matter if, making shoes, that's what came to mind. I don't know who makes shoes here, but if making shoes is really meaningful to you and it brings you this sense of joy and aliveness to be able to create something that someone else is going to be walking on and that's going to help keep their feet safe so that they can be in their best energy and stuff. I don't know. If that's your thing, that's a meaningful pursuit for you. Sometimes a meaningful pursuit is just cooking dinner every night. I'm not kidding. My mom works full time and I have a very strict diet. And one of my meaningful pursuits in this area of my life, in this particular season, is making sure that there's food on the table for both of us that nourishes our bodies so that we can both keep going. So it can mean all different kinds of things, but my coaching is also a meaningful pursuit. This podcast episode is also a meaningful pursuit. Another desire is deep connection. I think that one's pretty obvious. That's primarily with our people, relationships, but it's like spiritual connection, religious connection, community connection. Aliveness is at the bottom of the triangle, okay? Aliveness. What makes you feel alive? That is a huge drive for all human beings, okay? And so we can focus on really good connection. We can focus on doing what's meaningful to us and actually actively pursuing it, or we can focus on what makes us feel alive. And what's in the middle of the triangle that relates to all of those things, contributes to all of those things, and also is a desire and drive all on its own, is growth. If you are feeling stuck, it is because you are not growing, and it is time to grow again, babe. I don't even know what else to tell you. It is time for you to grow again. And there are so many ways to grow, and I'm so excited for you. This is a turning point in your journey. This is where you have hit a level of rock bottom, and you are now ready to grow and to get moving and to get unstuck and to get to that place where you know what you want and you're pursuing it. And I am here to tell you that you are absolutely 100% capable of getting to that place, and that I would like to do anything that I can to help you get there and support you in this journey. And I hope that this podcast episode and the podcast episodes to come really help support you in that, as well as the projects that I'm working on in the future to have available for you guys. And so one last thing on step 6 is that one of the best ways I've found to live with excellence and to maximize my time and energy is practicing high performance habits. This is a concept by Brendan Burchard, and he breaks down these 6 habits that absolutely support high performers. And I absolutely cannot remember them right now. One moment. All right. Sorry, I had to Google it. Seek clarity. Understand your goals and what you want to achieve. Generate energy. Develop the physical and mental energy to perform at your best. Raise necessity. Create a sense of urgency and importance around your goals. Increase productivity. Focus on the habits that lead to the most progress. Develop influence. Learn to lead and inspire others. Demonstrate courage. Overcome fear and take action. If you are listening to those are all ingrained in these 6 steps, okay? You're already going to be actively practicing those high performance habits as you go. But when you get to the 6th step, getting and maintaining aliveness in life, living with excellence as defined by you, when you get to that 6th step, live with excellence, this is going to help you so much to redefine these where you're at now. And so I highly recommend this book. It's called High Performance Habits, and it does focus on all 6 of these, and you can also listen to this book for free through Brendan Burchard's podcast. You can just look up High Performance Habits, how to listen for free or whatever, and it should tell you the exact season of the podcast that it is, or you can look it up on YouTube. I found it on YouTube as well. But yeah, clarity, energy, necessity, productivity, influence, and courage. Those are the 6 high performance habits that have helped me live with excellence a lot more. And as you can see, it's time for me to do a reread. We're there. So, I'm actually hoping to start kind of a book club type thing where we listen through this on our own time and then come together and talk through the prompts. Because Brendan Burchard already has prompts at the end of every chapter that you can do. Even if you're not reading the physical book, there's a website that you can access that has all of the materials. So this is available to everyone 100% for free. And if you don't know where to start, you don't know how to get present or whatever, start here. Start with this book. Start with this audiobook. Start listening to it now. It will change your life. And I don't really say that lightly, but this book will change your life. And if you're interested in reading through this book with me, I might start that up in November 2025. So reach out to me on Instagram if that's something you're interested in, at Achieve Wellness Daily. And we might go ahead and do that book club. That's another thing that's been on my yearly goals for about 2 or 3 years now that I haven't done. So let's get this podcast going. Let's get that book club going. Message me if you want to join. But we're just going to listen through it and do the prompts and then come together and chat about it periodically. Just basically to keep each other accountable. So yeah, that is my Get Unstuck formula. I apologize for this being such a long episode, but I got really pumped and fired up, and I wouldn't be surprised if I end up doing longer episodes, honestly. So thanks for sticking with me. Thank you so much for being here. If you are still here, I know that you are really dedicated to getting unstuck. And I know that you are excited for that next level and next version of your life, that next version of you. And I truly believe that there are steps that we can take every single day to get us closer to our goals, to get us closer to our most authentic selves, to get us closer to our best selves. And you can use this as something that, the 6-step process is something that you do a little bit at a time and add to, or you can kind of power through it. I really enjoy doing like an 8-week process where I go through one really hardcore each week and then kind of synthesize it all and see where I'm at from there. But it's, you can do one a day, you can do one a week, you can do one concept a month. You can go through this as quickly or as slowly as you want. And I just really hope that it helps you. So please let me know. Message me on Instagram if you've tried this. If you found this to be helpful, if there's any questions that you have, anything that you want to know more about, after hearing me talk, if there's anything that you want to hear me talk about on the podcast, please go ahead and send me a message at Achieve Wellness Daily, and let me know. I would really love to make this podcast something that you want to listen to, something that's really helpful for you, and guided by you and your energy as well. Your energy is obviously contributing here, or you wouldn't be here. So welcome, welcome. Really excited to go on this podcast journey with you all. I really hope that you enjoyed this as much as I did. I hope that you find it helpful. I hope it's even half as helpful as it was for me. That would make me happy. Or it saves you a little bit of time. Time is the only resource that we're guaranteed, and we can waste a lot of it here. And there are things that you are meant to be doing and seeing, and places that you're meant to be going, and you might be feeling held back from that right now. And I just want to encourage you to continue your healing journey so that you can move forward and go and do the things that you want to do. And I'm excited to share with you in the ways that I am making major breakthroughs as we go through this podcasting journey together, to be able to share, like, I did this and it worked and I got this result, and you can do this too. Or you can use this to get to your own result in your own way. I can't guarantee that this is obviously going to help you like 100%, but if you even try some of this, I know that at least one part of it is going to help, and it might just be the one big thing that changes your life. And even if it doesn't change your life right now, it might change the trajectory like that airplane, and you might end up in an entirely new destination than you would have before. So I just want to encourage you to keep going. I want to tell you that I love you so much. You are so loved. You are loved, and you are safe, and you are okay. And you are going to get through this, and I know that you can do it. And I know that you are going to do amazing things. And I know that you're already doing amazing things, and that you being here is enough. But I also know that you have this hunger in you, and you want more, or you wouldn't be here at this podcast in this moment of time. So thank you. Please, if you like this podcast, please rate it. Please let the podcast people know that you like it, so that this information gets to more people. And if you found this information helpful, please share it with a friend, or share it on your social media and tag me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram and YouTube, and that's it right now. So anyway, reach out to me. Let me know if you liked it at Achieve Wellness Daily. My name is Chloe Burge, and thank you so much for being here. Please never quit striving to be your most authentic self, to live your best life, and to live your purpose. Take care.